It's all for you. Yeah.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Ishmael from Dad Is Not a Noun. I hope everyone's doing well. I'm excited to have my brother with me, my co-host, Mr. Ray Fox. What's going on, brother?
All right. Good evening. Good evening.
Tell them a little bit about yourself, man. Don't be shy.
I'm man of many traits. I work on BIPOC. It's a website that we're using to help Black people get jobs. I have Black Dot Collective. It's a site that we use to empower and uplift Black people. I work with Faces International. We deal with a lot of businesses doing digital marketing and stuff like that, and do a little real estate on the side. And just like in one of Speech's songs, minding my Black business. So that's what I'm doing, minding my Black business.
Yes.
Yes. Right.
And I'm truly privileged to have this brother on again. We had him on the part 1, and now this is part 2. I have the legendary Speech from Arrested Development with us. What's up, King? How you doing, man?
Doing great, brothers. How y'all doing, man? It seems like great. Y'all are doing well.
We're doing lovely, man. You got that Dr. Cornell West going on, man. You can be like his twin a little bit.
Yeah, I'm just, if you talk about the gray or what, the beard,
the gray, everything.
The beard, the glasses.
On my mama right now, you could be his twin right now. If you grew the afro, you would be his twin. You would be his stunt double. Serious.
It's just called getting old, man. It's called getting old. And it's called quarantine. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's right, man. And again, Don't Fight Your Demon is one of my favorite albums of 2020. Your project, your team project, as well as Skyzoo's Milestone. Those are my 2 favorite projects, hands out. Do you feel like this is your best work? Because I feel like on this album, like lyrically, you're at your prime, because you see your evolution over time.
Yeah, I see an evolution of lyrical ability, but I've been working on that. You know what I mean? So I see that. I don't know if it's my best. I feel like it's definitely one of the top 3. With the first debut album, 3 years, 5 months, 2 days in the life of. It was very, very amazing piece of work. And, I think what I do think is interesting about Don't Fight Your Demons is that it took me way less time. So like between working with the great producers, Configa, Chris Acosta, Mark X, and myself, I think this took like 3 months, and 3 years, 5 months, 2 days in the life of took 3 years, 5 months, and 2 days. So, you know what I mean? Like, it's a different energy on how long each one took. And, so I'm really proud of both projects, really proud.
They're definitely different projects, hands out. But like I said, this one is hands out my favorite Arrested Development album, hands out.
That actually means a lot. That means a lot to me. Yeah, that's a good thing.
Do you feel that it's the best because of all the past 4 years, like everything just bubbled up?
Not me. I mean, I don't know. It's like, for me personally, a lot of the issues that I address on this record, I would address probably when Obama was in office. You know what I mean? These issues, some of them have been issues that I'm talking about since 3 years, 5 months, 2 days in the life of, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, but I do think that I think there's a few things that make people want to pay more attention to records like this one. It's because of what's happened in the last 4 years, but not just with the person that's in the White House, but also all the police brutality being caught on tape, all of the injustice that we see blaringly in front of our face. I think it makes albums like this feel more needed, and people thirst for stuff like this that they can relate to musically.
Definitely. And then also, I got to get this out right now because I feel like I would be doing him a disservice. Talk about the impact Baba had on the group, because he passed away in
2018, passed away. Bob OJ had a huge impact on the group. First of all, from a perspective of just seeing that symbolic elder that's connected with the youth to me, like, made the group that much more relevant and important to the world, not just to the United States, but to the world, because so many cultures around the world have this same type of feeling of importance for their elders and respect for their elders. And to see that in hip hop music, I think that just played such a big role in Arrested Development being accepted throughout the planet. So, and then on a personal level, I mean, just Baba's zest for life, his knowledge, and his surrender to life. Because just to give you a quick story about Baba OJ, Baba went to Africa with my parents. I didn't even know this till after I met him with music.
Wow.
He went to Africa when I was a kid. He went to Africa with my parents for 2 weeks or 3 weeks and ended up staying for 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
And he just slept from couch to couch, studied from Egypt to Kenya, Nairobi, all around the different countries in Africa. That's the type of spirit Baba was. He was the kind of guy was like, nothing would stop him once he had an idea of what he wanted to do. He was just a very driven, surrendered guy. He really believed in the adventure of life. And so on a personal level, that's what Baba did for me.
Definitely. And then that's the one thing I see as Arrested Development. I don't see you guys as a band. I see you guys as a community, like a throwback of the former slave that built a community. And that's how I see Arrested Development. Do you see that correlation a little bit?
Oh, definitely, I do. And in fact, internally, to be honest with you, bro, and to be very vulnerable, I have always yearned for that community. So I think that there's a part of me that wanted that and helped to build that energy with Arrested Development because I wanted it personally. So yeah, I definitely see what you're saying.
And it's deep, bro. You got a question?
No, I was going to say, you basically the Zuccotti Park and stuff like that. Not Zuccotti Park. What was the name of the Central Park before it became Central Park? They were a community.
Yeah.
In New York.
I don't know. My brain is on pause right now because I'm waiting for your question.
No. Well, I do have a question. Last time we spoke, we were talking about people, I guess, falling back asleep if Trump did not get back in office. Do you think Black people are going to go back to sleep?
I don't know, bro. I mean, I sure hope not, because there's going to be a lot more sanity in leadership positions. And because of that, a lot of times we can go back to frivolous thoughts, okay, what's the flyest car? What's the flyest this? What are we doing here? What are we doing there? What's the cool dance? Instead of staying engaged like we were with Trump, where we understood the nonsense that was going on, forced us to be engaged. It forced us to have a purpose, to fight something. And so I hope we do. And I live in Georgia. So right now we still have a huge fight with these runoff elections in January.
Right.
That's, in my opinion, is just as important as the actual election in November. So, I really hope that people stay engaged. It's one of the things that critics of Barack Obama who say what he didn't do for Black people tend to forget, that during his inauguration speech, he said, this is only the beginning. Now we have to stay engaged in order to actually get things done. And for some reason, people didn't take heed to that. And pretty short after, we had no Senate to work with, and it was just gridlock for the rest of his 2 terms. So I feel like people got to realize that if you're one of those people that believe in this system as one of the big ways to help us as a people, I'm not necessarily one of those believers. But if someone is a believer in that, then you also have to understand the need for engagement continuously in order to actually make some things happen. It doesn't just happen because of somebody taking over the White House.
I am seeing a lot of Black people post on Instagram and stuff like that. Like, they're not satisfied. So like you said, this is only the beginning. I feel they are going to put the Democrats' feet to the fire this time. Like, people are paying attention. No one has ever paid attention to politics more than they do now.
I hope so. I really do. And I think that we are primed to change some things in a very substantial way. The very fact that President-elect Biden, in his acceptance speech, literally called out Black people as the ones that got him into office and said, "I got your back."
Right.
These are types of things I've never seen that in any elected official, including Obama. I think that does play a role in what he feels he needs to do in order to pay Black people back, and that's a good place to be in. So I hope we really hold his feet and the rest of the administration and various elected officials, but also do what we've got to do as a people to make sure he has the tools he needs in order to work, because it's going to be a necessity.
Definitely.
And a side note, it was Seneca Village. That's what I was thinking of.
All right. No, thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
But go ahead. Sorry.
Thank you. And no, it's okay, bro. Transitioning into like community. The big thing that's been going on is staying on code. I know a lot of people have been against DJ Vlad not doing the show. Have you got any backlash from doing it?
No, not much. Not much. I'll be honest with you. I think for me personally, I look at a lot of those interviews as tools. I have music that I'm striving to get to the people, and I do interviews in order to help people realize the music's out there, because a lot of mainstream platforms are not going to promote this music. They're not going to promote, Arrested Development and songs talking about police brutality or talking about race relations. They're not going to promote that. So I use a lot of these platforms just to basically get the message out and hopefully get the music out.
Definitely, because that's the one thing too is, I'm not a big fan of Vlad, but at the same time, I haven't seen any of the Black media reach out to you to promote your music. Like a lot of love you've been getting is from abroad, like UK, then homegrown. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, Black people, we are very, in America, we're very fickle and we're very cliquish. And so once you break into the clique, then you'll get accepted by all of them. But until you do, then it's very tough, because Black people are very fearful in the media in America. Like, if they feel like if they put you on, but no one else in their peer group is putting you on, then they're going to be out there in the cold, in a sense, and they're not going to look cool or what have you. They're not going to look as important or as potent or influential or whatever. And so these types of things is what I've noticed for not just this album, but for decades now. And it's a thing that we've got to change as a people. We've got to realize that our media platforms should be tools for us to actually be active in changing the narrative and guiding what becomes popular, instead of just going with the stuff that's already sort of being promoted by mainstream and making sure we jump on it. You get what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, definitely. Yeah. And it is crazy because you have the resume. You're a 2-time Grammy Award winner.
Yeah.
That right there, and it baffles my mind sometimes. It's like you have all this stuff going on. I'm not going to call anybody out, but, you have like people that do have platforms in the morning that you have not been on yet. And this album's been out, 2 months?
Yeah, 2 months. And I've reached out to these people. So like some of them I know personally, and I've reached out to them personally, and let it be something frivolous, and they'll reach right back out to me and like, yo, can we have you on the show to talk about this?
Right.
But
yeah.
Something more, fundamental and important. No, it's literally like air silence with a lot of these mainstream Black outlets. And it's been, and this is a sad truth, but we got to work on this as a general people. But obviously y'all don't struggle with this, so I'm not talking to y'all. Right. But, even with the first album, 3 years, 5 months, we went to Black colleges and toured in cafeterias for free. I mean, we were just doing promotional tours. Nobody showed up. No radio stations came to check on what we were doing. And then when MTV, a huge white organization, decided to support this music, then all the Black radio stations started saying, yo, why aren't you coming to our station? We had already done the rounds with their station prior to MTV.
Right.
But they weren't willing to support it for the same reason. So I feel like it's what Chuck D said, and I think it was Bring the Noise, but he said, radio stations, I question your blackness. You call yourself black, but we'll see if you play this. Fans, but yeah.
No, it's so crazy because all these radio stations are talking about police brutality and racism and stuff like that, and they're not asking Speech to come on and play and spin those records. They still spinning WAP and all of these other things, and nothing constructive. Right. You absolutely right.
And it's based on fear because, unfortunately, a lot of these stations feel like if they go outside of that norm, then they're all of a sudden not in that cool crowd anymore, and they may lose a lot of their influence in the culture. And that's not the way we should think about our platforms. We should be the ones, like I said a second ago, guiding the narrative and making sure that we do what's right for our people. And I'm not saying just our music is right for our people. Whatever that is, our music is one of those things that I think is definitely a good look for our people. But yeah.
But also, you gotta also add the fact that who pays these people. So that's what else you have to look at. But you know, that's a great body of work, man. I'm not even lying.
I come from a viewpoint of, you know, you gotta have balls though. You know, like even if people are paying you, you still got to be able to stand up for something. You fall for everything, and so you know you got to be able to say, "Look, I'm playing this, brother." You know, whether y'all think it's a good idea or not. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going to play it. And every song on this record is surely not some type of controversial statement or something. It's just music. You know, it's music.
And then talking about that, because that got me thinking about like one of the two critical people in our boom bap era. When I think of like Dr. Dre and Ed Lover, like they were like the most important people when it came to pushing the culture to mainstream. And nowadays, like they're like an afterthought.
Yeah. I saw an interview with Dr. Dre just recently, and it might have been on Vlad, actually. I'm not sure. But he was just breaking it down, like just how big of an influence that Yo MTV Rap show was, you know what I mean? Like to hip hop, and yet how little he gets that him and Ed Lover get that type of respect right now.
Like they should be financially stable for the rest of their life. It shouldn't be a point where Dre is trying to get money. Yeah, you know, he should be set.
Right.
I agree. I totally agree with that.
I mean, I could go past the Madison Square. Well, not now, but before COVID, like you could go past the Madison Square Garden. Bon Jovi's playing, and all of these people are playing, and these tickets get sold out immediately like that. And these people haven't had a hit song since the '80s. And then when you talk to young people about rappers, oh, he's old. Oh, he's played out. What did that one basketball player say when they were talking about Nas? He was like, oh, I don't listen to old school rap. And it's just like, wow, it's so sad. It's sad.
It is. In fact, there's very little, relatively speaking, there's little outlets for quote unquote old school rap, like, which is really outstandingly crazy because, like you just mentioned, some of these other acts can still do stadium tours and haven't really done anything since the 70s or 80s.
Right.
And Stevie Wonder can't do a stadium tour. You know, like Gladys Knight can't do a stadium tour. I mean, by themselves, I'm saying. They could with a package deal with a bunch of others, like groups from that era. But it's a sad statement as to how large their music has made an impact on American and world culture and how little support they get, and in particular from us. You know,
right?
Definitely. And then like transition to like old school OG kicking you with some knowledge. Can you kind of talk about that situation where Prince has sued you for using like that one word in Tennessee? Can you talk about that?
Really?
Yeah. Now, so Prince, let me just say, Prince is my favorite artist of all time, right? So I love Prince. I'm a really big fan. And I used, y'all know the song. Are you guys Prince fans?
Yeah.
Okay, so Alphabet Street, I'm going to take her to, put her on my backseat and drive her.
Right.
Tennessee. And so that right there, I used the word Tennessee and put it all throughout the first single of Arrested Development when I produced that song. Right. And he let it get up to the as high as it could get on the pop charts. The day that it went down one notch, I got a call from his office, and he wanted to get money for that joint.
Wow.
He didn't sue. He just called and said, look, and what I found amazing, he charged me $100,000 for that word. At first, I felt so salty about it because I was like, how is he going to charge me $100,000 for one word? No melodies, no beats, just the word. And then later, I realized how much of a favor he actually did, because he could have pulled it off the shelf and he could have demanded ownership of the record, not just a one-off payment, but actual ownership for the rest of the life of the record, which would have dipped into what I can make from the record, what the group can make. So he didn't do any of those things. He just took his, his bag, as people say. It just went on his way. You know what I'm saying? So it was $100,000, man, for that. Yeah.
But the great thing about that story was that it was a teaching moment. It's like, all right, I'm not gonna make that mistake again.
Well, definitely. First of all, in that era, hip hop was not truly defined as to how you can sample what you can't sample. Right. So a lot of people thought, well, it's if it was 4 seconds or more, you can't sample it. But or if it was a melody of a song, you can't sample it. But I didn't think just the word itself was the same rights as if I took a melody or something like that. So yeah, it was a learning lesson, definitely. And a lot of these big records were sort of teaching newer artists what to do and what not to do. You know what I mean?
Definitely. And then also, can you talk about how was that sitcom show able to use Arrested Development?
So the sitcom, because Fox is obviously a huge corporation and channel. Right. They saw that we had a trademark for the name Arrested Development and just used it anyway, which is crazy. Literally put their money into the show, produced the pilot episode and everything without checking with us or anything. So when I found out about the show, it was the night of its premiere. In fact, it's when America heard about the show, was the premiere of the show. It was on Super Bowl Sunday, and the commentators on the Super Bowl were saying, coming up next is Arrested Development. And the commentators started talking on camera like, yo, I missed that group. This is cool. They're coming back. What's great about that is the point of a trademark is to try to make sure that the public isn't confused about a brand.
Right.
And the very fact that on Fox Channel, the night of the premiere, everybody, including the commentators, were confused about what this thing was what helped me when I was on court. I had to get on the stand and talk about why this group was so important to me and why this name was so important to the culture. And that's what made us be able to settle out of court, because it was a clear-cut case of confusion.
Wow.
It's interesting because when I heard the show, I honestly thought it was Speech and his crew doing a TV show.
Yeah.
I was like, what is this? Like,
right, exactly. Yeah.
And like seeing like a bunch of white people, I'm like, what?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Wow. So, do you get anything from that, or not to be? Okay.
No, not now, but for like probably the first 2 or 3 seasons we did.
Okay.
And it was what we settled out of court for.
Gotcha.
And it was one of those compromises, really, because it wasn't as if I really loved the show, because I personally didn't. But they had already done the pilot episode. They had done a few other episodes that were in the can. They already had a release date. It was on the schedule. And so we were like, well, we could pull it off the shelf and go really hard with it, or we can make some money now. Because the thought was maybe it won't even be successful anyway. So if we go real hard, we make no money from it. They pull it down, but there's nothing there. And so we just decided to try to see what we could get from the situation. And then we did. We worked it out.
I got one more question, Ish. It's going back to Don't Fight Our Demons album. What's your favorite track, would you say?
Yeah, for me personally, it changes. Like you know, every time I listen. So Back Down has been one of my joints from day one. I love The Forsaken a lot. Like that song rocks with me. And then I love Moses a lot.
Okay.
And you know, and then I'm forgetting other joints, but it's funny because like, you know, I produced a lot of joints on this album, but like my favorite joints happen to be some of the other ones that either Configure or Chris Acosta produced and I just rhyme on. But it's like it just is the way it is. But I love the whole record as a piece too, because for me it's like it's sort of an emotional journey, you know, as you just listened from start to finish too. So I like that part about it.
I definitely agree because every track has a different kind of mood and feeling depending on how you're feeling on that day. You know what I mean? And that's the beauty of it. And that's the point about music. Music is supposed to do that. You know what I mean?
I totally agree with you.
And then when you get into music, talk about Real People, Dancing on the Moon EP. Talk about that. That drops November 20th, right? Talk about that a little bit.
It's out. Yeah, it's out now.
Okay.
And
Okay.
the Real People project was a blessing for me because, you know, I tour a lot with Arrested Development throughout the world. We were in somewhere in the UK. I forget the exact city. And one of the members of Real People was at the show. His name is Ali. He was really into the show. And as soon as I got off stage, he had asked me, you know, if I wanted to do something with him. And I wasn't familiar with them, but one of my singers in Arrested Development, Tasha, was very familiar and loved them. So she actually said, yo, Speech, do you want to do a song on a project they're doing? And once I found out that they had worked with all these other artists that I totally love, I was like, you know what, I'm down. You know, and I tend to like European productions because they do like a soulful house type of thing and R&B type of thing. So I was like, they tend to take it more seriously sometimes than some of us do here in the States because they really study the music and they give credit to Black people and they give credit to the originators. So I always appreciated that that level of respect for the art. So I felt like I would love doing this project, and I did. It was fun, man. Like I co-wrote my song is called "I Never Knew," and to me it's a fun song. It's, you know, it's really well produced, and it was a pleasure for me to be on that project.
And the one thing is this EP is like a music best kept secret.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, they're gonna sell units. Like they really are good at their built-in audience throughout the world because there's a lot of soulful house heads that really follow what Real People are doing, and you know, it's gonna sell units. I'm really proud of this project.
And I'm like I said, I started listening to it and I like it. I like it a lot, man. Ray, you need to check that out, bro.
Okay, yeah. I'll definitely listen to that then. Are we going to do a third interview? Come down and tell me what my workout songs are?
It's totally different than Don't Fight Your Demons, but it feels like Journey On, which you had quoted earlier. The Journey On joint where it's like minding my Black owned business.
Minding Black owned business. Okay, that chill. Like I like. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It's so dope because it's just like a classic old like R&B album. Like if you think of like Music Soul Child, days, that's how that EP is. That's dope. Okay, man. Especially like Eric Roberson, like one of the most underrated R&B artists out there. Just underrated artist general. Like his resume can go head to head with a lot of people.
I agree. Yep, I agree.
And transition into podcast. I am a big fan of Everyday People. Where did you come up with the idea to do a podcast? And why was it important to get your family involved in it too?
Well, to me, the whole point of that podcast was to have my family, because we have these talks over the breakfast table all the time. And then I was like, well, the podcast thing had gotten really popular with a lot of artists, and for the life of me, I still don't understand, like, well, where's the money bag in that? I don't get it, but it was like, well, we talk about this anyway, so let's just do it and we'll see what comes of it. And that's what we did. And so my daughter, my wife, and my sister-in-law, Tiffany, and then we bring people in on it. You know, we just started doing it every Tuesday, and it's sort of got this following of people that wanted to hear it and view it. And so we just kept doing it.
Yeah, man, it's dope because I feel like it's like it kind of feels like the Huxtables a little bit, but from South Carolina, from the South.
Yeah,
like if they did like a Cosby Show and the family was straight from the South.
I feel that. I think that's a fair observation, bro. I feel that because I mean, me and my queen, we've been together 30 years.
Wow.
So you know, when you spend that type of time together, you could complete each other's sentences. And then my daughter, she's 23. My son was on one episode. He's more of like the artistic, eclectic type of dude. So he ain't like joining on every episode by no stretch. So he was like, I'll join this one. And we had to pull his teeth for that one. And but it's like my whole family's there. And then my extended family, like I said, my stepsister, she works for me anyway. And she's an incredible human being, period. So it's just a good energy, we have a lot of fun. Like most of the time we're clowning, and then of course we go deep at times too. Like one of my favorite episodes, we talk about like gardening and owning your own land and passing down land, legacy building and stuff like that. That's an episode that I would really encourage y'all to check out if you haven't seen it. One of our best ones.
Right. It was, man. And I enjoy it, man. I'm looking for more, man. Seriously.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate that.
I'll do that. I'll definitely upload it to the Black Dot Collective site then.
Yeah, do that like yesterday. Seriously.
Okay.
But also, you know, as a father, as a husband, what are the foundations for you as being a father and a husband? What are the key foundations?
That's a great question. God for me, it's all about God, Jesus. Those are the things that I think saved my father and husbandhood. Because really, I want to create a spiritual foundation for my family and for my wife to thrive in, for my daughter and son to thrive in. I want to create a place of peace. So if I can be a great foundation financially, spiritually, leadership wise, then they can grow in their own particular sort of directions and aspects that they're growing in. But I want to make sure that I provide a spiritual, peaceful, safe place for them to do that at. So that's I think if you mention foundational type things, that's what I was striving to do. My kids are now grown, but you know, they're still like, my son is 26, my daughter's 23. They're still very much in our life. Like they love being at home with us. They love being around us, which is all a blessing. And I'm just very grateful for that foundational journey that we put them on. And
then the last question, what does legacy mean to you as a Black man?
For me personally, it means carrying on the dreams and the aspirations of our ancestors, because we stand on their shoulders. And so I feel like legacy is continuing their dreams and their aspirations through us and then on to our, you know, children and children's children that come from us. So that's what I believe. And that's what I'm striving to do, you know, from owning my own land to owning businesses to helping out college students all across the nation, especially from my hometown, Milwaukee, to owning or co-owning a newspaper in Milwaukee, owning an art school here in Atlanta, you know, owning a juice company with my queen here in Atlanta, doing documentaries so that people can learn things that I had to learn the hard way. These are all things that I feel is about legacy, passing that on. And of course, the music, which is my main thing.
My Black business, man.
That's right. And then,
yeah.
And at the end of the day, I like using this phrase. It's not about being a good person. It's about being an ancestor, and you're doing your part by keeping that legacy alive, brother.
I appreciate that, y'all. And I just want to lift y'all up, man. Y'all, like, ever since I've known about y'all, always been appreciative of your energy. The things that y'all bring forth has been great. So thank you for the support y'all have given me, and that's why it was my pleasure to do this with y'all again. So
thank
no
you,
doubt.
brother. Thank you, man. All right, go get that album, man. Seriously, I'm not playing around, man. Get that album, man. If you had to choose between that Busta Rhymes new album and the Arrested Development new joint,
Pick that Arrested Development.
Yeah, go buy that album. Buy the Arrested Development album. Stream the Busta Rhymes album.
Shout out to my brother Busta, but hey, I appreciate that. I really do.
No, they're both great albums, though. Honestly,
yeah, they are, man. They are, man. But again, Speech, thank you again.
Thank you.
We would love to have you on again.
Yes,
no doubt. I'm always here for y'all.
I appreciate. All right, and we're out of here, guys.
Right,
Red, you got anything you want to say to the people?
Nah, man, just keep making them back down albums so I could get my strong man on, yo.
Oh, you trying to get swole? You trying to get swole to a point where you can't move your arms?
If he makes another one, I probably could go and win the title belt or something, yo.
All right,
my next choice will be with Cornell West since I'm channeling.
Yes, I cannot wait.
I'm waiting for that so much.
I'm waiting for that movie, Twins.
I love it.
All right, people out there, we out.
All right, y'all. See ya.